The Sparviero class patrol boat is a premium 3.7 Italian hydrofoil. It costs $20 and is a pretty effective grinder for getting through the lower tiers of the Italian Navy tree. It also unlocks the Italian naval tree for research, skipping the waiting period between 1.99 and the next patch. For a bit of history, the Sparviero is an Italian design. Originally being built in 1973, 11 of the Sparviero class were created. The last of the Italian Sparvieros was retired in 2002. Japan licensed the design and built their own variant of the craft, which I've covered previously in the review of the PGO2. In War Thunder, the Sparviero comes with only one weapon, a 76mm OTO-Melara cannon. With a fire rate of 85 rounds per minute and a ready rack of 80 shells, the OTO-Melara can put out a lot of fire in a short time. While the initial dispersion pattern is pretty tight, it gradually gets larger as the cannon overheats. After 15 shells, the dispersion reaches its peak, and after 39 shells, the gun ceases firing entirely until it cools down. At higher speeds, the ship's rocking can make the gun less accurate, so I'd recommend slowing down slightly when in combat for higher accuracy. It also doesn't have much ammunition. While 115 shots may sound like a lot, it disappears quite quickly, so it's important to be accurate with your shots and avoid spamming them. The OTO-Melara gets a choice of 3 shells, HE, SAP, and HEVT. It does not get the APFSDS round present on the automatic and ground forces. The HE is generally effective against small vessels, and while it isn't able to one-shot them due to the changes in hull break, it can generally kill them in 1 to 3 shots. The SAP shell is useful against destroyers that are too armored for the HE to deal much damage, such as the Fletcher, or for detonating their ammunition racks with repeated shots. It's a hard shot, but certainly possible. Lastly, the HEVT shell can airburst against aircraft, making it a must-have for dealing with planes, and can also be used in place of HE due to having the same amount of high explosive filler. I didn't realize this for a while I was recording, which is why I'm still carrying HE for most of the footage used. I'd recommend taking mostly HEVT along with some SAP for destroyers, leaving behind standard HE as there's no real reason to bring it along. The Sparviero can lock onto planes by pressing Alt and F while zoomed in, giving an aiming reticle to help fight them off. In the survivability department, the Sparviero is quite weak. With only 10 crew and no armor, even machine guns can take it down when aimed correctly. It can also be hull broken by many of the weapons it faces. Try to keep your front towards the enemy and bow tank their fire, as the relatively large hull of the Sparviero can stop many low caliber weapons from penetrating further than the first section. Against larger guns, you simply have to rely on not getting hit. The Sparviero has an excellent top speed of 93 km per hour. The turning and acceleration aren't great, however. Turning is pretty slow and also bleeds a lot of speed, and it takes a bit for the ship to get out of the water when starting from a stop. The high firepower, low defense, and good mobility of the Sparviero lead into its playstyle. The Sparviero is best suited to flanking. It can't take a hit and can't dodge incoming fire, so it's important not to get shot at in the first place. It's best to get around the enemy, attacking from unexpected angles and destroying them before they can return fire. Remember to slow down when in combat. It keeps the cannon accurate enough to consistently hit, while at max speed it struggles to hit at all. Against small boats, it's quite easy to tear them apart with just a few shells. When facing larger boats such as destroyers, it's best to just avoid them. If you have to fight against a destroyer, use the terrain to get into close range and quickly detonate their weapons or dump SAP into their ammo racks until they detonate. Always be on the watch for planes too. With no AI weaponry, they must always be handled by the player. The Sparviero comes with all modifications unlocked, along with a talisman. I'd recommend picking up leadership, main caliber reload speed, fire prevention, and ship control for crew skills. It's quite good for grinding through the lower tiers of Italy and can reach up to the destroyers before suffering research penalties. I'd say that if you want to get your hands onto the Italian Navy and don't mind some difficult up tiers, it's a worthwhile ship. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more naval content.